Picture the most admired woman in the room. Her skin is luminous, untouched by the sun. Every eye follows her. And all the while, with each careful layer she brushes onto her face, she is quietly poisoning herself. Modern rituals of rose water and soft creams mask a history written in lead, mercury, and arsenic. For thousands of years, the pursuit of beauty was a pursuit of lethal chemistry. This practice began over 3,000 years ago, under the harsh Nile sun. These thick black lines served as a sacred defense against desert light and waterborne infections, ground directly from lead sulfide. In ancient Rome, white skin signaled high social status. To achieve a ghost white face, women turned to ceruse, or white lead, a visual proof that they were wealthy enough to avoid laboring outdoors. Roman records show that users suspected these pastes were toxic. They applied them anyway, watching their own skin wither under the lead. This history is a series of calculated gambles. It shows that when aesthetic perfection carries enough weight, the risk of physical ruin becomes a price people are willing to pay. In Tudor England, this trap closed around Queen Elizabeth I. To project untouchable majesty, she painted her skin with Venetian ceruse, a blend of vinegar and pure white lead that dried into an opaque porcelain mask. The lead paste creates a vicious biological loop. It deteriorates the healthy tissue underneath, causing the skin to grow rough and discolored. To hide that damage, the wearer applies an even thicker layer of the poison. Over years of use, that mask ate away at the face beneath it. Long-term wearers suffered from corroded skin, thinning hair, and teeth that blackened and rotted. This was a coordinated fashion standard shared across the royal courts of Europe. Venetian ceruse traveled along the same trade routes as silk and spices, sought after by the most powerful families on the continent. When an entire society agrees on a deadly ideal, the danger becomes invisible. Slow self-destruction simply becomes the requirement for being civilized. By the 1700s, the consequences were public knowledge. One celebrated Irish aristocrat died in her 20s from lead poisoning. Contemporaries openly named her a victim of her own cosmetics. Yet the makeup stayed on the dressing tables. As the Victorian era began, these toxic substances moved from luxury courts to everyday store shelves. Victorian shops sold arsenic as a standard beauty tool. This label lists arsenical soap in massive letters, marketed to the public as a safe way to clear the complexion. Advertisements promised to eradicate spots and blemishes with the blessing of societal experts and chemists, despite the common knowledge that arsenic was a lethal poison. Inside the body, arsenic damages the nerves and kidneys.
Cruelly, prolonged exposure also causes the skin to develop dark, rough patches, meaning the woman eating poison for pale skin eventually watched her face turn mottled and stained. Mercury rounded out the Victorian vanity table. Even with a warning label for external use, this corrosive metal was brushed onto the skin and lashes, where it silently absorbed into the bloodstream. A fashionable woman in this era followed beauty advice that functioned as instructions for slow self-harm. She used lead to whiten, arsenic to clear, and mercury to smooth, poisoning herself in plain sight. Safety didn't arrive through a sudden moral awakening. It required a century of doctors and chemists documenting physical ruin, until laws were forced to catch up to the reality of the dressing table. The reason people knowingly consumed poison is that beauty was never just about aesthetics. It was a socio-economic language. Pale, flawless skin was the price of admission to a certain kind of life. It purchased social status, advantageous marriages, and respect in a world where women had few other ways to claim power. The gamble was simple. Social validation arrived tonight, while the physical decay arrived years later. When you stand in front of your mirror today with regulated, tested ingredients, you are standing at the end of a long and dangerous road. Our chemistry finally changed, but the deep human longing to be validated and seen remains the same.